Ladies and gentlemen, the 1999 National Science recipients. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1999 National Medal of Technology recipient. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by Secretary of Commerce William Daley and Assistant to the President for Science and Technology Neil Lane.
Mr. President, Secretary Daley, Secretary Shalala, members of Congress, Mr. Ambassador, our distinguished guests, and most importantly, our honored medalists, welcome to the White House and to this year's presentation of our nation's highest scientific honors, the Medals of Science and the Medals of Technology. Let me also extend a warm welcome to all those beyond the East Room from across the United States and around the world who are joining us today via satellite and the internet, which I might add parenthetically is without question one of our most successful paybacks ever on federally funded basic research. In the world that increasingly is propelled by scientific and engineering achievements of innovative men and women, we gather today to honor our very best. While their individual areas of expertise range from evolutionary biology to computer science to astrophysics to economics, the cumulative impact of their endeavors touches on all aspects of our lives. As a nation, we're grateful for their commitment to excellence and the ideals of scientific discovery. I've been stressing the importance of science and technology in our everyday lives. I now want to introduce another champion of science and technology in this administration who has the primary responsibility to link science and technology to our nation's economic prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Commerce Secretary William Daley.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Lane. Mr. President, all of the winners and their families, members of the Cabinet, Secretary Shalala, Secretary Summers, members of Congress who are with us. Mr. President, if I could, first off, I want to acknowledge one science winner in particular, Susan Solomon, who works at the Commerce Department for NOAA. And we're obviously very, very proud of her. And if I may brag for a moment, this is the third year in a row that a commerce scientist has either won the Medal of Science or a Nobel Prize. So we are extremely proud once again this year, Mr. President. Since 1985, our country has honored about 125 Americans and American companies with the National Medal of Technology. Before us is a distinguished group ready to join their ranks. It will come as no surprise. All are receiving the medal for breakthroughs related to computer science or biotechnology. Their accomplishments have improved the quality of life, our health, our productivity, and our understanding of the world. Their advances, especially in information technologies, are a major reason our nation is in the longest economic expansion in our history. The other major reason is the economic policies of this president. Since he has been in office, we have created over 21 million new jobs, the most ever created under any president. We have the lowest unemployment in 30 years and the first budget surplus in over 30 years. This president has put science and technology at the center of our national agenda since he came into office. He knows that no investment our government has ever made has paid off better in jobs, in growth, in opportunity than our investments in research. He has brought the internet to virtually every school in America, and he is working to close the digital divide between the technology haves and the technology have-nots. And he's working hard to get Congress to approve China's entry into the World Trade Organization so we can sell more technology in that market of over 1 billion people. On a personal note, he has always been committed to the Commerce Department programs, and it has helped make the Commerce Department a leader in government on issues of importance to this great nation. This week is the busiest week we have had in 10 years at Commerce as we conduct the 2000 census. 120 million households are receiving their census forms this week. Mr. President, if I may ask you as Commander-in-Chief to please order each and every one of our fellow citizens to return these census forms quickly. It is indeed a tremendous honor and a privilege to introduce to you the great President, the President of the United States of America, William Jefferson Clinton.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you and welcome to the White House. Thank you, Secretary Daley, and thank you, Dr. Lane, for your leadership. Secretary Shalala, Dr. Caldwell, Representative Nick Smith, Representative Eddie Bernice Johnson, thank you for your support of science and technology in the United States Congress across party lines. We welcome Sir Christopher Meyer, the British Ambassador to the United States, here to be with us today. Every year I look forward to this day. I always learn something from the work of the honorees. Some of you I know personally, others I've read your books. Some of you I'm still trying to grasp the implications of what it is I'm supposed to understand and don't quite yet. But this has been, I must say, one of the great personal joys of being president for me has been the opportunity that I've had to be involved with people who are pushing the frontiers of science and technology and to study subjects that I haven't really thought seriously about since I was in my late teens. And I thank you for that. When Congress minted America's first coin in 1792, one of the mottos was liberty, parent of science and industry. Very few of those coins survive, but the Smithsonian has lent us one today. I actually have one. It's worth $300,000. Not enough to turn the head of a 25-year-old .com executive. But to a president, it's real money. And I thought you might like to see it because it embodies a commitment that was deep in the consciousness of Thomas Jefferson and many of our other founders. And we could put the same inscription on your medals today. You have used your freedom to ask and answer some of the greatest questions of our time. Each of you has been a brilliant innovator and more, breaking down barriers between disciplines, broadening the frontiers of knowledge, bringing the products of pure research into everyday lives of millions of people, helping to educate the next generation of inventors and innovators. For this, America, and indeed the entire world, is in your debt. It is terribly important that we continue to open the world of science to every American. The entire store of human knowledge is now doubling every 5 years. In just the 8 years since I first presented these medals, think about what has occurred. In 1993, no one's computer had a zip drive or a Pentium chip. There were only 50 sites on the World Wide Web. Amazing. January 1993. Today, there are about 50 million. In 1993, cloning animals was still science fiction, but Dolly the sheep would be born just 4 years later. Since 1993, we've sent robots to rove on Mars, created prototype cars that get 70 to 80 miles a gallon, invented Palm Pilots that put the internet on our belts and lead to the increasing nightmares of a busy life. The work that you and your colleagues have done has changed everything about our lives. It has brought us to the threshold of a new scientific voyage that promises to change everything all over again. Perhaps no science today is more compelling than the effort to decipher the human genome, the string of 3 billion letters that make up our genes. In my lifetime, we'll go from knowing almost nothing about how our genes work to enlisting genes in the struggle to prevent and cure illness. This will be the scientific breakthrough of the century, perhaps of all time. We have a profound responsibility to ensure that the life-saving benefits of any cutting-edge research are available to all human beings. Today, we take a major step in that direction by pledging to lead a global effort to make the raw data from DNA sequencing available to scientists everywhere to benefit people everywhere. To this end, I am pleased to announce the groundbreaking agreement between the United States and the United Kingdom, one which I reconfirmed just a few hours ago in a conversation with Prime Minister Blair, and one which brings the distinguished British ambassador here today. This agreement says, in the strongest possible terms, our genome, the book in which all human life is written, belongs to every member of the human race. Already, the Human Genome Project, funded by the United States and the United Kingdom, requires its grant recipients to make the sequences they discover publicly available within 24 hours. I urge all other nations, scientists, and corporations to adopt this policy and honor its spirit. We must ensure that the profits of human genome research are measured not in dollars, but in the betterment of human life. Already we can isolate genes that cause Parkinson's disease and some forms of cancer, as well as a genetic variation that seems to protect its carriers from AIDS. Next month, the Department of Energy's Joint Genome Project will complete DNA sequences for 3 more chromosomes, whose genes play roles in more than 150 diseases, from leukemia to kidney disease to schizophrenia. And those are just the ones we know about. What we don't know is how these genes affect the process of disease and how they might be used to prevent or to cure it. Right now, we're Benjamin Franklin with electricity and a kite, not Thomas Edison with a usable light bulb. As we take the next step and use this information to develop therapies and medicines, private companies have a major role. By making the raw data publicly available, companies can promote competition and innovation and spur the pace of scientific advance. They need incentives to throw their top minds into expensive research ahead. They need patent protection for their discoveries and the prospect of marketing them successfully. And it isn't in the government's interest to see that they get it. But as scientists race to decipher our genetic alphabet, we need to think now about the future and see clearly that in science and technology, the future lies in openness. We should recognize that access to the raw data and responsible use of patents and licensing is the most sensible way to build a sustainable market for genetic medicine. Above all, we should recognize that this is a fundamental challenge to our common humanity, and that keeping our genetic code accessible is the right thing to do. We should also remember that, like the internet, supercomputers, and so many other scientific advances, our ability to read our genetic alphabet grew from decades of research that began with government funding. Every American has an investment in unlocking the human genome, and all Americans should be proud of their investment in this and other frontiers of science. I thank all of you for all you have done to build international and national support for American investment in science and technology. I am grateful that this administration has had the opportunity to increase our funding for civilian research every year, and that we've requested an unprecedented increase this year in areas from nanotechnology to clean energy to space exploration. As the new century opens, we're setting out on a new voyage of discovery, not just into human cells, but into the human heart. We cannot know what lies ahead. Each new discovery presents even more new questions. What is the purpose of the 97% of our genetic makeup whose function we don't know? What will we find in the genes left to identify? How will we make sure the benefits of genetic research are widely and fairly shared? How will we make sure that millions of Americans living longer lives also live better and more fulfilling ones? Almost 200 years ago, Lewis and Clark set out on a voyage of discovery that was planned in this room, where Thomas Jefferson and Meriwether Lewis laid out maps on tables right where you're sitting, and though it would be politically incorrect today, tromped around on animal skins on the floor. That discovery would not only map the contours of our continent, but expand forever the frontier of our national imagination. Before setting out, when Meriwether Lewis was here in the East Room with Thomas Jefferson, poring over maps and sharing the lessons in natural science, he actually lived on the south side of this room in two small rooms that Thomas Jefferson had constructed in this big room for him. I must say today, I wish I could ask all of you to do the same. I always feel that when I do this, the wrong person is talking. I wish we could hear from all of you today. One of the things that I wish I could do a better job of as president is sparking the interest and understanding of every single citizen in the work you do, of everyone's ability to see how profoundly significant what goes on in your labs and in your minds is to their future. I do think the American people are coming a long way on that, and I try to talk in the State of the Union in ways that would help. I also try to think of little ways to illustrate how you are changing our conception of the most basic things. What is big and what is small, what is long and what is short. Dr. Lane has actually given me a primer of what nanotechnology is, and I can carry on a fairly meaningful subject about something that is totally unfathomable to me. And last year, Neil Armstrong and his colleagues came back to the White House to celebrate the 30th anniversary of his walk on the moon. And while he did it, as a part of the ceremony, he gave me just on loan a vacuum-packed moon rock, which if you see the photographs now of the Oval Office with the two chairs and the couches and the table in between, the moon rock is now visible to the world that sees this. And when members of Congress and others come in and get all heated up and angry over some issue, I often call a timeout. And I say, hey, wait a minute. See that rock? It came off the moon. It's 3.6 billion years old. We're all just passing through. Chill out. So it works every time. So there's a practical gain I got from scientific advance. There are many other things that have happened that have enriched our lives. I have to acknowledge the presence here of my good friend Stevie Wonder, who has had a lot to do with improving musical technology and is obviously interested in some of the scientific developments now going on, which might restore sight to people and other movements to people who have suffered debilitating paralysis and other things. And we thank you, Stevie, for being here today. Thank you. As our honorees receive their medals, we thank them, all of us thank them, for the way they have changed the way we view our planet and broadened infinitely the ways we gather and store knowledge. You were part of an unbroken chain from Lewis and Jefferson to Edison and Einstein, from the cotton gin to the space shuttle, from a vaccine for polio to the mysteries of DNA. I thank each of you for what you have done to change our world and to enrich our minds, our imaginations, and our hearts. And I think I learned right before I came in here that it is infinitely appropriate that you are receiving these awards on Albert Einstein's birthday. So thank you very much. Congratulations. Commander, please read the citations.
Laureates of the National Medal of Science: David Baltimore of the California Institute of Technology for his fundamental discoveries in virology, tumor biology, and immunology, notably the discovery of how tumor-causing viruses multiply, for his devotion to building excellence in scientific institutions, and for his statesmanship in fostering communication between scientists and the general public. Felix E. Broder of Rutgers University for his pioneering work in nonlinear functional analysis and its applications to partial differential equations, and for leadership in the scientific community. Ronald R. Koifman of Yale University for his fundamental contributions to pure mathematics in the field of harmonic analysis, and for his achievements in the adaptation of that field to the capabilities of digital computer to produce a family of fast, robust computational tools that have substantially benefited science and technology. James W. Cronin of the University of Chicago for his fundamental contributions to the fields of elementary particle physics and astrophysics, and his leadership in creating an international effort to determine the unknown origins of very high-energy cosmic rays. Jared Diamond of the University of California Medical School, Los Angeles, for his exceptionally creative scholarship, including seminal research in physiology, ecology, conservation biology, and history, for his outstanding role in communicating science by explaining technical advances in a widely understandable terms, and for his overwhelming dedication to science's role in building a better future. Leo P. Kadanoff of the University of Chicago. For fundamental theoretical research in the areas of statistical, solid-state, and nonlinear physics, and in particular for the development of scaling techniques in these fields. Lynn Margulis of the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. For her outstanding contributions to understanding the development, structure, and evolution of living things, for inspiring new research in the biological, climatological, geological, and planetary sciences, and for her extraordinary abilities as a teacher and communicator of science to the public. Stuart A. Rice of the University of Chicago. For changing the very nature of modern physical chemistry through his research, teaching, and writing, using imaginative approaches to both experiment and theory that have inspired a new generation of scientists. John Ross of Stanford University. For his outstanding contribution and enormous impact in physical chemistry, in particular molecular studies, the kinetics and thermodynamics of nonlinear systems, and new approaches to the determination of complex chemical and biological reaction mechanisms. Susan Solomon of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. For key scientific insights in explaining the cause of the Antarctic ozone hole and for advancing the understanding of the global ozone layer, for changing the direction of ozone research through her findings, and for exemplary service to worldwide public policy decisions and to the American public. Robert M. Solow of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, for his creation of the modern framework for analyzing the effects of investment and technological progress on economic growth, greatly influencing economics and economic policy worldwide. Kenneth N. Stevens of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, for his leadership and pioneering contributions to the theory of the acoustics of speech production and perception, development of mathematical methods of analysis and modeling to study the acoustics of speech production, and establishing the contemporary foundations of speech science. The following are laureates of the National Medal of Technology: Glenn J. Culler, Culler Scientific Systems Corporation. For pioneering innovations in multiple branches of computing, including early efforts in digital speech processing, development of the array processor computer architecture, invention of the first online system for interactive graphical mathematics computing, and pioneering work on the ARPANET. Ray Kurzweil of Kurzweil Technologies Incorporated, for pioneering and innovative achievements in computer science that have overcome barriers for and enrich the lives of disabled persons and of all Americans, including developing the first print-to-speech reading machine for the blind, the first commercially marketed large vocabulary speech recognition technology, and the groundbreaking Kurzweil 250 computer music keyboard. Robert A. Swanson of K&E Management Limited. Accepting on his behalf is Judy Swanson. For extraordinary foresight and leadership in recognizing the commercial promise of recombinant DNA technology, and for playing a seminal role in the establishment and development of biotechnology industry. Robert W. Taylor of Woodside, California. Accepting on his behalf is Charles Hertzfield. For visionary leadership in the development of modern computing technology, including initiating the ARPANET project, forerunner of today's internet, and advancing groundbreaking achievements in the development of the personal computer and computer networks. Symbol Technologies Incorporated of Holtzville, New York, for creating the global market for laser bar code scanning and for technical innovation and practical application of mobile computing and wireless local area network technologies.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just say two things in closing. First of all, we saw again today another triumph of the scientific method. After two failures, all the other honorees took off their glasses on their own. It was truly amazing. This has been a wonderful day. I'd like to invite all of you to join us in the State Dining Room for a reception in honor of the award recipients. Thank you very much.